When Joseph Losey and Hugo Butler started work on the script for The Big Night, the heat from both the HUAC committee and the FBI was so hot, especially on Butler, that they did their work in motels, skipping from one to another around Los Angeles. Butler was dodging a subpoena to testify in Washington. He refused, like Losey, to give the committee names of alleged communists, and he refused to sign a loyalty oath the studios were using to clear talent of any communist taint. Instead, Butler elected to decamp with his wife, screenwriter Jean Rouverol, to Mexico, where during the 1950s they were neighbors of fellow blacklistee Dalton Trumbo. Like Trumbo, the Butlers wrote a number of Hollywood films from south of the border, including co-writing the 1956 Joan Crawford hit Autumn Leaves. Their friend Jack Jevney served as their front. The Big Night was in post-production when Losey learned there was a subpoena with his name on it. When the FBI mistakenly delivered it to his previous address, Losey had just enough time to summon producer Phil Waxman to his house, where he gave him instructions on how to finish editing The Big Night. And hours later, he was on a plane to Europe, ending his career in Hollywood. In the south of France, he met up with actress Joan Loring, Marion in today's film, and they had a brief affair. Losey got a directing gig in Italy on a picture called Stranger on the Prowl, for which he used the name Andrea Forzano, the first of several aliases. The subterfuge was necessary if any film he directed was to get distribution in America. In England, where Losey eventually settled, he worked under the names Victor Hanbury and Joseph Walton. For his first English feature, 1954's The Sleeping Tiger, Losey imported Hollywood actress Alexis Smith, who had no idea about the director's travails, until the night they were in a London restaurant and Ginger Rogers came in with her mother. Layla Rogers was one of the most ardent anti-communists in Hollywood, and upon seeing her, Losey bolted out through the kitchen, dragging Smith with him. He apologized on the run, explaining that her career could be ruined merely by associating with him. Such was the tenor of the times. Losey would be directing under his own name by the end of the 50s, making terrific films with actor Stanley Baker before beginning a collaboration with writer Harold Pinter that resulted in two of the most critically acclaimed art films of the 60s, The Servant in 1963 and 1967's Accident, both starring Dirk Bogarde, who'd co-starred with Alexis Smith in The Sleeping Tiger back in 1954. Now, by the time Losey made these films, most people assumed he was British, not a one-time member of the Communist Party of America from La Crosse, Wisconsin. One other interesting connection between Losey and Hugo Butler. Later in his life, Losey married Patricia Mullen, who had been Hugo Butler's secretary back in the day. She even wrote the screenplay for Losey's final film, Steaming, from 1985. Now, Losey and Butler weren't the only ones in this film who had trouble with the authorities. Actress Dorothy Comingore, who gives a vivid performance as Julie Rostina, perhaps had the worst time of it. She'd earned rave reviews for one of her first roles, playing Susan Alexander, Charles Foster Kane's second wife, in Orson Welles' 1941 masterpiece. The part was clearly modeled on William Randolph Hearst's mistress, Marion Davies, and Hearst purportedly set out to ruin Comingore's career as payback. The FBI compiled a file on her almost as fat as the one it had on Losey, although Comingore was never a member of the Communist Party. Her marriage to writer Richard Collins, an outspoken leftist and eventual blacklistee, was seen as proof of her own un-American tendencies. There's no doubt Losey cast her in The Big Night because no one else in Hollywood would give her a part. In 1952, she was called to testify before HUAC and defiantly refused to answer any questions. Not long after, the LAPD arrested her on prostitution charges. She claimed it was in retaliation for her defiance of HUAC. The Big Night would be the last film she'd ever make. Now, one of the oddest and most affecting scenes in The Big Night is the encounter between George and a nightclub singer played by 24-year-old Maury Layton, billed in the credits as Maury Lynn. She was from Savannah, Georgia, and many people thought she had the talent to be another Lena Horne or Dorothy Dandridge. including that noted influence wielder, Walter Winchell. She'd appear in a few more films, including Otto Preminger's 1954 version of Carmen Jones, but after that, she stuck to music, not movies. Tragically, Maury Layton was murdered in 1969, along with her 20-year-old stepdaughter, after her husband, a Harlem car dealer, failed to pay off his debts to drug dealers. Now, on that grimly noirish note, we wrap this week's show. You know the drill. Drop us a line on Facebook or on the Noir Alley Twitter feed, and then find some way to pass the time until next week, when I'll present something very different from this tumultuous era in American history, a 1952 newspaper noir from master director Robert Wise, one with a totally innovative look and feel. See you back here for The Captive City. In the meantime, stay out of trouble.